So as part of his inauguration speech, Trump declared war on the drug cartels. They apparently are not impressed. They have been causing fuss, shooting at people, otherwise just being up to their usual shenanigans, right? Here's why I think they're wrong, and they should be very concerned. Unlike past administrations, the second Trump presidency has already shown they do not give a damn about playing nice, catering to the snowflakes, getting reelected. They are taking the election as a mandate to do all the things they said they were going to do all the things that their base wants done. They are making big changes, doing it quickly, doing it aggressively, and doing the cleanup afterward. Paint with a big brush and then go back and clean up the trim. But what does that mean for the cartels, which historically have considered themselves basically immune and above the law in both countries, right? They're located in a foreign country. They feel relatively protected by that. They only have, for the most part, disposable foot soldiers in the U.S. Welcome back to Bulletin Brass, folks. We are coming to you from South Texas. Why is my phone blowing up? With a not-so-live report. Seriously, I took my time on this one because I wanted to talk to more people, but also I wanted to see what would happen in the short term. I didn't want to do a video based on the announcement and then have them, add a whole lot more information right away and be like, oh, whoops. Yeah, here's where we're at. Let's see what I've seen and heard. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, go check out the Patreon. Guys, it really does help. Anyway, on with the show. So we basically got this narrowed into bullet points, and we're basing a lot of this off of discussions with people locally. I see a lot of, we usually just call them foreign nationals, but like 99% of them are Mexicans. So they're coming here, vacation, visiting family, shopping, and the vast majority of these are at least working class, if not affluent, people here legally. They're bringing their family. They're going home, right? They're not here as immigrants. They're here as tourists. And then, of course, you do have the locals. Most of the Mexicans I've spoken to are completely in favor of Trump being heavy-handed. They view this as something their government clearly cannot handle. They view this as something where the U.S. is at the core responsible for creating the problem, in the sense that we are the money, right? We are essentially funding the situation. So they look at it and go, look, you created it, you fix it. They're not saying that, we are the people responsible in the sense that, like, we're doing the bad things. But clearly the money for these cartels is coming from the U.S. So they're generally pretty clear on that. That was a almost universal constant. For the most part, they also think that because their government is completely in no position to deal with this, it has to be outside. They don't view that as the U.S. being a bully, stepping out of our lane. They view it as, look, you're the one who's creating the situation. You're the one here who can do it. Do it, right? They did not give a damn about the wall at all. They were like, whatever. These are not people coming here illegally. These are people who, for the most part, don't have a whole lot of respect for the ones who did. They sympathize for the most part, but they can see how that's just perpetuating the problem, building negative stereotypes, adding fuel to an otherwise bad situation, right? You're just adding fuel onto that fire. And you're giving the cartels more leverage by not having it, by the illegal immigration. So they view the wall as sort of why wouldn't you control your own border? Like, they don't see it the same way the left-wing media does. They view it and go, well, of course, like, duh. All of them were in favor of not just like some corrective action, but a serious smackdown. They looked at it and said, look, you need to come in violently, clean house, kill them. Don't piddle around and slap some wrists. Massive raids. They view this as a military action against a terrorist force. These are people who are using military level firepower, manipulating their government, are blackmailing their government, are blackmailing large portions of the population, holding hostages. These are not people that the general population really has any interest in protecting. And they're aware that that's going to be a problem. That's going to be messy. That's not going to be neat and surgical at all times. They think it's going to be a slow process. Nobody was thinking this was going to be like 2 weeks and it's done. No. The worry was that Trump would be out of office before it was done and it would just backslide because nothing was in place. That was one of the things that came up several times, was there needs to be, the laws need to change, the rules need to change, the standard needs to change for how this is dealt with, so that when Trump is gone, people can still point to it and go, well, it's his fault, right? Blame Trump for doing the thing you needed to do to maintain that status quo, to maintain a situation where the cartels cannot rise to power again. Because everybody knows the left is not going to do it, right? They're not going to take the blame for those unnice actions. They look bad to the international media because the international media is also left. So they view it as this way they can blame Trump. If it's all set up and set, done, and they have to reinforce it, they can just point to Trump's policies and be like, bad orange man. And that was fair. Nobody thought that was going to be a problem. So everyone saw the tariffs, the troops, the whole situation at the border from Mexico's side, right, as basically political give and take and just cover for what has to happen. It's a way of sharing the blame, deflecting criticism, keeping the international community and the left-wing media from going, it's just the U.S. being mean, or doing something we shouldn't be doing. Look, when the head of the Mexican forces is standing there on the stage with a microphone taking credit for an operation that, yeah, some U.S. helicopters might have gotten photographed. Look, they're here on joint training ops. I don't know what you're talking about. We took these guys down. It's awesome, right? That kind of thing. Same thing with the spy plane recently. There was a whole lot of, why does the U.S. have a spy plane down by Baja? Their announcement was, look, there were no unauthorized flights. Any flights that were there were probably there sharing information with us to further interdict traffic. Like, what else do you expect? This is a way for Mexico to get pride, to protect their face, right? Which is important. If you want to do this kind of thing, particularly in Asia or South America, face, pride, machismo is a thing. You can't just be like, well, you're freaking incompetent and we're going to just take care of this for you like you're a little child. No. These people are worried about their families being murdered. It's not that they don't want to do something. They literally are not in a position to do it because their whole family would be murdered and it wouldn't have changed. So you need to create this deniability situation where they can not look like they were incompetent publicly, while privately it's very clear that they were basically along for the ride, right? The cartels don't look at this and go, well, we need to start killing all the politicians and then they won't have anybody doing this. No, it needs to be very clear on that side that if you start that, we're just going to get more aggressive quickly. Going back to the tariffs for a little bit, one of the things that was talked about is that they're not worried about it because the price will just go up of those goods. The price in the U.S. for an item that is being hit with a 25% tariff will just be 25% more. Buying that somewhere else, getting that made somewhere else takes a long time. They're not worried about it. They're looking at this and going, our jobs are pretty safe. Our businesses are pretty safe. So they just saw the tariffs as negotiating points, which is what it clearly was and what has been proven out. We were already seeing the start of that when I was talking to a lot of these people. None of them were concerned with it. We literally range from extremely affluent, not top tier. These weren't billionaires, but these are wealthy people, all the way down to just regular working class guys that come over here to go, for their families to go to Bass Pro and go shop, visit some family, go home. None of them were worried about it. They're like, your media makes way bigger a deal out of this than we do. This is just life. This is just how it goes. They'll work it out. Long term, they didn't think it was going to matter. Short term, they were not that concerned. They view it as Trump is doing something to solve a problem. Is he right? We'll find out, right? They didn't necessarily think that he was going to get it right every time, but they were happy he was doing something. They were supportive of you're taking action rather than just letting it continue. Ironically enough, that puts them ahead of most people in the U.S. who can't look past today. No one on either side of the border thinks the cartels understand the difference between Mexican law enforcement, even the Mexican military, U.S. law enforcement, and what will happen when the gloves come off for the U.S. military. Nobody thinks they have a clue. They think that they are living in fantasy land. This is going to be, hey, special operations units. Those people, kill them. Find more, kill them. Find more, kill them. Keep going until there's nobody left. We're good at that. I mean, like, now no one is silly enough to think this will be entirely one-sided. The cartels are going to lash out. The general population is going to get hurt. There will be attacks in the U.S. There will be attacks on U.S. bases. Drone stuff, just random shootings. Like, sure. However, nobody really thought that was going to last very long because the people doing it are going to get dead quickly. If you're attacking the cartels along the border, the one you're attacking is going to be a week or two of work to destroy. Just if you're not trying to like capture here, capture there, gather into, if you're literally going, if you are at that compound, you are getting killed. If you are not holding a weapon and you are a woman or a child, maybe we kidnap you, maybe we arrest you and drag you back. But everybody here is not going to be here when we're done. And you're willing to drop an entire company or two of Rangers as blocking forces. Delta comes in, an entire company of Apaches as air support. We're talking a few hundred miles, maybe 1,000 miles from the U.S. border. This is not hard. This is really not. These men are going to be there before you know what is happening, and they're going to be done with you before you understand what's happening. This is not the Mexican military where somebody called it in the day before, and somebody called it in when they started assembling, and they called it in when they left in their trucks, and they literally got followed along the roads, and you took out a bridge, a little wash bridge to slow them down until they finally decided to go home. No, these men are going to show up in helicopters, wipe you out in 15 minutes, get back in their helicopters with all of your computers, all of your papers and everything else, and go home. And you're not going to know where they're coming from. You're not going to know when they're coming. You're not going to have any sources. It's all going to be internal. Availability of intelligence gathering this close to the U.S., night and day difference. This is not trying to gather intel about the far side of the world. This is right here, right? Even small drones can make the flight. So we can keep a constant stream. There can be a drone per person if we wanted. This is not difficult. I expect we have a few more weeks before we're going to see significant, if not massive action. What that will look like, whether that will be cooperative at all with the Mexicans, I don't know. I think that it's going to be, as it's happening, as the troops are actually on the ground acting, the local Mexicans units, I guess, will get a call saying, hey, this group is being destroyed. You might want to move in, right? We're going to leave you some intel. We're going to leave you some captives, but that one's taken care of. With the understanding that those people don't get to go free. At the very least, they're going to jail, right? What you do with them, we don't care. We expect you to take the credit. You get to make the press conference saying, we wiped out, the top 3 leaders of this cartel, along with, all their key associates. We've captured all these people and, destroyed however many millions of pounds of drugs. Go for it, dude. Power to you. The Delta boys don't need that. The Rangers weren't there, right? Nope, they were absolutely not there. We were not there. I think that that's how it's going to go. I could be totally wrong. I could be wrong. But this whole thing with the 7th group going down to train the Mexican Marines again has shades of Los Zetas. I think it's 100% cover story. I think there'll be some training. I think there'll be some cooperative works. But I think that it's a cover for other U.S. troops operating in Mexico. I think it's a face-saving thing. It gives them the ability to have a good story for the media. Now, the local population here in San Antonio has a lot of people that retired from those units, various SOCOM units. All of them, everybody I've talked to, they're on board with this. They think this is an important mission. They think this is a good mission. This is a righteous mission, and I'm not going to say easy, but it's not a mission where they're seriously concerned. Like, they're not downplaying the cartel's risk level for us, but they view it as, look, this is what we do. This is what we're trained to do. This is what we've been doing in a much less permissive environment for over 20 years. We got it. And will there be some losses? Most likely. This is what we do. Now, I think the key here is to remember that there's two separate activities in the war on drugs here. There's the war on the drugs and there's the war on the cartels. What we're talking about is the war on the cartels. This is not about stopping the flow of drugs. Hiccups. That's a secondary concern. That will happen as you take out cartels. It will get less organized, easier to interdict. It is not the primary goal. You're not sending Delta and the SEALs on a drug raid. Look, Customs and Border Patrol will take care of that. DEA can take care of that. The Mexican government can take care of that once they're not afraid for their lives. The goal is to remove the power, to remove the people and the money and the influence that makes it so the Mexican government cannot do this, that they cannot act in their own best interest for their nation, so that Mexico can be free again. I mean, I guess that's the best way to put it, is right now Mexico is basically being held hostage to domestic terrorists, and they need some help. And this is the help. And after that, hopefully we have a partner in the fight against drugs themselves. So we'll see. So anyway, bye for now. We'll find out if I'm right later.